Salam sejahtera, anda bersama saya Rizal Zulkafli dan ini adalah agenda Awani. Pada tahun 2004, kerajaan mengumumkan polisi untuk memastikan bahawa terdapat 30% wanita dalam kedudukan untuk membuat keputusan ataupun decision making positions dalam sektor awam. Dan kenyataan tersebut turut diulangi pada rancangan Malaysia ke-9 pada tahun 2006 ke 2010. Dan kita juga dapat melihat bahawa syarikat-syarikat di Malaysia bergerak ke arah mencapai sasaran tersebut, dan antara syarikat yang aktif memastikan bahawa wujud keseimbangan jantina, keseimbangan gender dan juga kepelbagaian dalam tempat bekerja adalah Nestle Malaysia. Dan Nestle Malaysia dalam sasarannya pada tahun 2018 adalah untuk menjadi sebuah syarikat yang saksama daripada segi jantinanya dengan mewujudkan suasana di tempat kerja untuk mencapai peningkatan dalam jumlah wanita yang menyumbang kepada tenaga kerja di Nestle. Dan untuk membincangkan berkenaan dengan usaha untuk mewujudkan sebuah syarikat yang saksama daripada segi jantina dan juga kepelbagaiannya diraikan, kita bersama dengan Yuzma Kaiserbat, Pengarah Eksekutif Sumber Manusia Nestle Malaysia. Hi Yuzma, thank you for joining us today. Hi. Now, we want to look at best practices by Nestle. First of all, we want to look at how Nestle is creating a gender balance and diverse workforce. And I think the importance of gender balance and diverse workforce cannot be, we can't deny that. I think we want to know the principles behind creating a gender balanced and diverse workforce and how Nestle is doing that to achieve its 2018 goals.
Well, thank you for having me here, first of all. To talk about gender and diversity, I'd like to first start maybe to talk about gender being an aspect of diversity. So when we talk about diversity, we're speaking about several differences, and gender is one of the most obvious ones that we face in the corporate world today. Nestle began a very overt journey towards a gender balance transformation in 2008. But before that, I would like to say that Nestle is the largest food and beverage company in the world. And by virtue of operating in almost every country in the world, our diversity in terms of ethnicities and nationalities is unquestioned. So in that sense, we have a very diverse workplace. In 2008, however, we felt we need to take a look at how many women are actually coming into senior leadership roles, in decision-making roles, as the government of Malaysia has also recently been quite explicit about. So what we decided to do was to take a look at what are the factors that actually encourage women to take on senior leadership positions. Traditionally, you hear about the glass ceiling. Does that exist anymore? Is there something known as the sticky floor? So the sticky floor is when women actually stop themselves from reaching out to ambitious targets, something that we have discovered does happen. Nevertheless, as I said, we scoped out senior leadership as our first area of concern. And to that end, we launched a number of initiatives to promote senior leaders being more and more female. The first one was to take a look at the work environment. Is anything happening within the work environment that is either silent or that requires a little more attention? And the first thing we did was to scope out top high potential females across the world and to pair them up with mentors across the world. And this proved to be quite successful. Having a place where senior women could talk about what their aspirations were, how to navigate the political climate, and how to create a space for themselves has resulted in a number of solid partnerships taking place in the company and women progressing through the pipeline. So that was for one scope. Now, what about countries such as Nestle Malaysia, where we already have a significant number of women in our senior leadership positions?
So we're quite balanced in that sense, right?
We are very balanced. It's a delight to say that in the senior leadership aspect, it's almost, the balance is almost tipping to the other side, yeah? So we have in our senior leadership team, we have 43% female participation. And this is not only outstanding in many aspects when you look at how people struggle with gender balance in other places, it's very comforting. So I have worked in different countries before. When I walked into the leadership team of Nestle Malaysia, gender was a non-issue. You weren't worried about what you were Am I a woman? Can I speak about certain things? Am I expected to fall into a certain stereotype? No.
So would it be okay to say that in Malaysia, Nestle Malaysia has achieved the 2018 target, or is there more can be done to maybe achieve that?
Right.
Maybe briefly, before we go to my colleague Iza,
sure.
She has more questions on social media.
Right.
Okay.
Is there more to be done? Our overall participation of females in the workforce is 34%. We are a very manufacturing-intense organization, and typically, traditionally, you wouldn't see many females in factory operator roles. Can that change? For sure it can. But at the leadership level and at succession planning level, we're very satisfied with our gender balance.
Okay, let's go to Iza Islan. She has posed some questions to the member of the public on gender balance and creating and promoting diversity. Iza, maybe you want to take us through the questions and also the answers that you've got from the questions that you posed.
Yeah, first of all, hey guys, and it was a really interesting discussion that you had there, Rizal, with Uzma. So we've posted a few questions on our social media platform, and we've got lots and lots of responses, but we picked a few just to highlight it here. And the first question that we actually posted on our Facebook and also Twitter was, what are some of the biggest challenges in promoting diversity and also gender balance in corporations? And you told us what you think. And the first response that we have, a comment on our Facebook, which is by Siti Ning Abdul Qasim, and some of the things that she said, you can see that it's a really long comment. She's really passionate about this. She said that in order to promote a gender balance in a corporation, there should be open chances so that, you know, it promotes more women to actually raise up their hands and say, hey, I can do this, all right? And also, she also acknowledged that women have to work as hard as the men, if not harder, and also that some of the things that, you know, mostly the women folk have, some of the skills are good communication skills, and also they are a natural linguist. So this should be encouraged to be the asset of a corporation. And all in all, she said, just make it easier for the women, and they will help you to get a greater heights, all right? So on Twitter, we've got comments as well, and one by Winnie Cow, at Winnie Cow. She said that some of the biggest challenges is that there is lack of confidence and courage. So this is difficult for you to actually execute your ideas in a corporation. And also she added that the exist of overpowering thoughts and actions of over-feminism. So being over-feminist is also bad because it defeats the initial purpose to strive and equality. So that's all I have for now, Rizal.
Okay, thank you very much, Iza. I think we'll move on to our next question after the short break that we're going to take shortly. I think we want to talk about managing a balanced, a gender balanced workforce and also a diverse workforce. I'm sure the challenges is different when it comes to managing issues or things that we've discussed. Also, Iza has pointed out just now, which is creating that confidence and also creating opportunities where people can, or women can actually move and create opportunities for themselves. Let's talk about that when we, after the break. Kita akan berehat sekali, kembali selepas ini. Dan bertemu kembali anda bersama saya Rizal Zulkafli dalam agenda Awani. Kita bersama dengan Yuzma Kaizabat, pengarah eksekutif sumber manusia Nestle Malaysia, membincangkan berkenaan dengan kesesamaan di tempat bekerja dan juga mewujudkan satu suasana di tempat kerja yang meraihkan kepelbagaian. Let's talk about, I think, the two comments, the two answers that Iza discussed just now, which is one on the opportunities and the chances and the creating opportunities for women to move up the ladder within the organisation itself. And also the second one, which is the feminist
bias.
Bias, yes. So I think maybe that falls under the whole managing challenges of creating a gender balanced and diverse workforce, right?
Right. And, you know, I would like to say specifically to Winnie, I think she hit quite a strong topic. She hit the nail on the head. Managing a very diverse workforce certainly requires an attention and a sensitivity to the matter. Have they been women in the workplace forever? Of course they have. Have they been different generations in the workforce? Of course they have. How we pay attention to them and how we nurture those differences is really to the point of your question. Now, one of the biggest challenges you find at an individual level is what I called, at least for the females, the sticky floor. Research has shown that when a female looks at a job advertisement, she feels she cannot apply for the job if she meets 50% of the requirements. All right? Whereas for a male, if he meets something close to 20 to 30% of the job requirements, he will apply. This speaks to an implicit confidence that men have, and which has been reinforced over the years in the corporate sector.
This is a self-imposed matter, right?
Yes, it certainly is, and it is why we call it the sticky floor. Have you created a sticky floor for yourself? So in our mentoring initiatives, what we do say to our females, and especially our high potential females, go for it. Apply. Don't think that you're not good enough. Don't think that you're not qualified enough. Give it a shot. Because if you don't try, you'll never know what the outcome will be. So that's one very small example of how we can have self-limiting behavior. And we do encourage people to pay attention to that. What is the self-limiting behavior happening at the moment? We also have this matter of what was called bias. Now, we all know that gender and diversity is a business imperative. We know that better decisions are made by diverse groups. Homogeneous thinking does not result in robust decisions. However, when you start creating diversity in places that have not experienced it before, the first thing that comes into play is unconscious bias. We all carry it within us. You can call something a bias, or you can call it a preference. Why did you choose to wear a green tie today? You had some assumptions that went into it and made you decide today is a good day for a green tie. How do we look at females in the workforce? How do we look at young people in the workforce?
So it's very sector specific sometimes, right? People say, oh, maybe fast-moving consumer goods female are better off in that sector as opposed to engineering and oil and gas, for example.
Correct.
That those gender bias are still happening in the workforce, and they influence the women in the workforce and also how men perceive women in that particular workforce, right?
And both ways. So as an example, we create stereotypes, and stereotypes help life. They make life a lot simpler, but they don't allow diversity to flourish. So you will say women are very good at marketing, women are very good at HR. Does that mean men are not? We exclude men from those sorts of roles because somehow we have a stereotype in our head. So more and more what we in Nestle are trying to do is to start creating an awareness. What bias do I carry within myself? Is this bias based on reality? Is it based on perceptions? And what decisions am I making because of the unconscious bias I carry within myself? This is a key element to us in terms of managing diversity.
And you lose out on a lot of benefits and the byproduct of diversity if you subscribe to that belief, right, of gender bias in the workplace. We're going to take a short break. But before we take a short break, we'll talk to Iza and we'll see what Iza has. I think another question. Iza, you posted a question to the on social media, and also maybe Iza can share with us some of the answers that she got from the questions that she posed.
Yes, sure, Rizal. So the second question that we posted on our social media platform is whether it is widely held that women still crave to have gender equality and equal pay. So do you agree or not? So these are some of the responses that we have, mostly on Twitter. Rais Hussein said that we should pay according to the competency, like skill, knowledge and abilities, and also experience. So, you know, just forget about the gender, but focus on their skills and also their abilities to held a certain work. So Amila Termizi said that men and women has worked equally and dedicated everything for their career nowadays. So equal salary should be implemented a long time ago, as is practicing by Nestle. And then we also have Lee Slim Shady. He agrees, but there needs to be a specific and accurate democratic mechanism to ensure that there is equality in the paycheck. So this is quite interesting. Noor Ayu said that she prefers privileges like, you know, shorter working hours, flexible block leaves, and then the salary should be measured fairly from there. And another one that we have is by Batgirl. She said, why should the salary differ when women are working for their family as well? So that's true. So these are some of the responses and the questions that we've posted on our social media platform, fb.com/501awani, as well as on Twitter @501awani. Back to you, Rizal.
And Yusma, before we start the discussion just now, we had a small discussion, a mini discussion, which is in Asia, gender balance and equal pay has already been around for quite some time. It's not so much. It's not such big an issue as opposed to the Western counterparts. Let's discuss about that when we come back, and also discuss about the capitalizing on gender balance and how do we capitalize on the fact that you have diversity in your workforce, and how do you support those diversity and the gender balance. Let's talk about that when we come back. Kita akan berehat sedikit kembali selepas ini. Dan bertemu kembali, seterusnya kita bersama dengan Yusma Kaizabat, pengarah eksekutif sumber manusia Nestle Malaysia, bincangkan berkenaan dengan mewujudkan satu tempat kerja yang meraihkan kepelbagaian. Yusma, let's talk about that. Let's go very fast this time. I think first of all, equal pay. I think we want to talk about that. Whether it's true that in Asia, equal pay is not such big an issue because there's already equality in the system as opposed to the Western counterparts. Is that true?
I was exposed to a study in the year 2010 where we were taking a look at pay disparity between the genders across several countries. And in countries such as Sri Lanka, Philippines, Malaysia, you were finding that there was almost no disparity in the pay between, on average, between men and women. But when you look at economies that have had the corporate sector possibly for a much longer time than Asia, if I recall correctly, the highest pay disparity that we saw was in countries like Canada. So in places where women came into the workforce a long time ago and have been fighting for the rights of equal pay, and Asian women have benefited from that, fight.
Why is that?
Why have Asian women benefited from that? Because the topic's been on the table for decades. The topic started really in post-war Europe and America, where women came into the workforce and after a few years realized that they weren't being paid equal. So the work began. The noise began. And as women came into the corporate workforce in Asia, this was no longer a topic that had to be fought for.
So we are more open to changes like that. We are a very dynamic society, open to embracing new ideas, of recognizing the strength and weaknesses of different genders and different diverse group of people, right?
Asia's economic growth has happened in the last few decades, and it's happened so fast that the Asian workforce has been able to leapfrog many of the social issues that happened in the workplaces of more developed countries many decades ago. So the leapfrogging has actually really benefited the workforce in Asia.
Okay. So how is Nestle Malaysia looking at making sure or maximizing on the potential of the gender balance and diverse workforce that it has right now?
So in terms of what we do to make sure that we maintain the gender balance that we do have, one of the most apparent thing that comes to mind is that women are mothers. Right? Of course, this is not to discount the fact that there are increasingly more single fathers in the workplace, and they are also important, their needs are also important. But we have made sure that for a working mother, when she returns to the workplace, there are infant feeding rooms. So there's a place where, should she choose to feed her child, she's got a space where she can do that. We have a maternity leave of 3 months with an option of an extended other 3 months. And the female who leaves for maternity leave is guaranteed a job of equal status when she returns. We have also globally, and this is to give you an indication of how progressive Nestle is about this globally, by 2018, we have committed globally that the primary caregiver of a newborn child will be entitled to maternity leave. Now, this may not be the mother. This may be a father in the workplace whose wife has decided she will return to work immediately. To my mind, this is an incredibly progressive sign of ensuring balance and looking at the needs of new parents in the workplace.
So what's next for Nestle Malaysia? Because I think you guys are almost there when it comes to creating a gender balance and also a diverse workforce.
Yeah.
What's next? How do you further maximize on the diversity and also the strength that each gender has? What do you have in store?
I think the next big topic for us in diversity is generations. So you're looking at the baby boomers, you're looking at Generation X, you're looking at Y, you're looking at the millennials, and I believe there's a new word for the next set that's coming in as well. We know for a fact through employee surveys that Gen Y in our organization is looking for a little more clarity, and they're looking to be managed in a different way. So certainly that is the most significant diversity topic on our table today. And it's not just about the stereotype again. Who is Gen Y? Are they spoiled? What do they want?
And why is it important for organizations, huge organizations such as Nestle, multinational organizations, to adapt really, really fast to these changes or to the need to address diversity, such as generational diversity, as you mentioned just now?
It's important for us to stay in the business. If we have to adapt very fast to the changing consumer needs, then certainly the people who are helping us address the consumer needs are probably changing just as fast as well. It would be neglectful not to pay attention to what's happening within the demographics of your workforce. It is something that is a part of our responsibility, particularly as leadership. What are the needs of the new workforce? What motivates them to go the extra mile? And how can we help this happen?
This is not just corporate social responsibility, right? It's the value of a company, right?
Certainly. Corporate social responsibility is not necessarily connected to generational management. It's not about being charity for Generation Y. Absolutely not. They are the future. They are the future. But Generation X, we've got 20 years left in the workplace. We're still the future.
Thank you very much, Yusma Kezabat, Pengarah Eksekutif Sumber Manusia Nestle Malaysia dan juga Nestle Malaysia, dan juga Izzat Izlan membincangkan berkenaan dengan mewujudkan satu tempat kerja yang meraihkan kepelbagaian dan juga kesesamaan dari segi jantina. Dan itu adalah laporan kami daripada Agenda Awani, dan teruskan perbincangan kami dalam media sosial dan juga dalam Facebook dan juga Twitter kami. Saya Rizal Sukapli, teruskan bersama kami di Astro Awani, berita segenap dimensi. Salam hormat.